Hello, and welcome to episode 47 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is David Howe.
I'm Patrick Knisley.
I'm Matthew Stoner.
And I'm Amanda Bird.
Hey, Amanda Bird in the house.
Amanda Bird, meme queen.
The meme queen of the Switch Headz page. Thank you so much for coming on. This is a long time coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Stars kind of aligned for us to have you on.
Exactly.
Very excited to talk shop about Nintendo. We are going to be doing an episode today on the replay value of certain games. Games as a medium is very different from film or books, where a lot of times it's encouraged for you to replay the game and you get a different experience. We'll be talking some about that as our topic at the end of the show, or in the second half of the show, rather. And then we've got a lot of news to go over as well, a ton of news. We've been off for about 2 weeks. We had some pre-recorded shows before Christmas. So we're going to be getting into some news about some alleged Switch Pro rumors, again, as seems to always be the case. French publication giving Nintendo a very prestigious award. Some sales numbers, Hideki Kamiya news. We've got the show jam-packed for you guys. Can't wait for us to get into it. Before we start, though, how was y'all's holiday? You guys have a good holiday season?
Yeah, mine was all right. Everybody got sick, though.
Oh, yeah, I got sick,
that
too.
made it just okay.
Yeah.
I just got sick yesterday.
You are in a den
I
of
think
illness.
everyone in my family got sick at home and I made it out. We were pounding emergency. Every morning we would get a mug and would cheers to emergency and say, get away, wash your sheets.
That's what I should have done. My girlfriend was sick at the beginning, and then as soon as she got better, I got sick. So I should have seen the writing on the wall. That was foolish on my part.
How are y'all feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Good,
Great.
Other than that, though, it's good. I got some cool Switch stuff we'll talk about later.
Yeah. I got a couple amiibo that I was eyeing for a while. That was nice.
That's really cool. I had a couple weeks off of work, and I played nothing but video games for the first week.
We'll have a lot to talk about then. I've also been playing a lot of games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nice
It's
time.
been a great break.
Hell yeah, I agree. We got some shout-outs before we begin?
Oh, yeah. So I think it was our last episode where we talked about what we want to see in 2020. And Tommy Green said he wants to see a giant Nintendo space crossover game in 2020 where F-Zero, Star Fox, and what am I missing here?
Metroid.
Samus.
Collide.
And Kirby. Kirby is space.
That was your addition.
Yeah. Mario Galaxy is space. There's lots of space stuff.
I guess, Kirby can breathe in space. He just holds
Yeah, he
into the
flies
star.
on a goddamn star around the galaxy like it's nothing. He didn't give a shit.
Does Kirby breathe? I don't think he breathes.
Kirby is
He
constantly
breathes
breathing.
food.
Yeah.
He only inhales food.
But he doesn't use it to give oxygen to his brain to survive.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, I
You
don't
can
know.
see him actively inhaling. So you know he breathes.
He inhales. That doesn't mean he breathes.
And exhales.
There's a difference between sucking and breathing.
This is true. But that's in another episode. We'll talk about the
we need the
anatomy
Hyrule-
of Kirby.
We need the Hyrule Historia of Kirby to answer these questions for us. But
Yeah, there's
Sakurai, if you're listening, please write that book.
There's some weird stuff going on in those games. But we got a lot of stuff to get through. So I guess we'll start with this. There was a roundup of sort of video game analysts that was done on gamesindustry.biz. And they, in particular, there's one we want to point out. There's a Japanese analyst, and I'm looking up his name right now. But he especially thinks that definitely thinks we're going to see a Switch Pro in 2020. His name is Dr. Toto from Canton Games. And he's correctly predicted the Switch Lite brand name.
Oh, really?
So you know it's going to happen.
Well,
but a lot of people don't think it's going to happen this year, but he does. So we'll see.
It wouldn't be surprising. I think if it's not this year, it'll be next year. We're like due for a mid-gen refresh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It feels weird to compete with the PlayStation and Xbox, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it would make sense. Do you have any thoughts on the oft-speculated Switch Pro?
When it comes out, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think by the time a Switch Pro comes out, my Switch will be beat up enough to where I should upgrade.
So this is kind of funny. There's a French publication that gives out awards every year about bad companies. And they gave out an award to the Nintendo Switch and to Nintendo in particular for producing too fragile of a product in the Switch Joy-Cons. I can't speak French, so I don't know all the name of the like publication is something like 60 million consumers or something like that, which I guess is how many people are in France, if you were wondering. And that's so true. Those Joy-Cons do break. And as just a reminder that if you live in North America, you can get them repaired for free. I told my nephew that because he got a new Joy-Con for Christmas. I'm like, well, because he's like, I've got 2 that have drift. Do you have any that had drift? I'm like, no, because I sent mine in for free.
You had to deal with any drift issues? Amanda?
No, I haven't had any deal with that. But I know my sister's boyfriend was like, oh, your Switch Joy-Cons feel so nice. They slide in. They still have the grip.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't talk about them like that.
They're sitting right there.
I'm like, ew. I'm like, give this back.
That is honestly, so drift is definitely annoying. I do have some Joy-Cons with drift. I still haven't sent those in. But I think almost more annoying is the like, you're right, the little wiggle that comes with like old Joy-Cons.
So nice and tight. Like, you're being gross.
It is nice though to have nice tight Joy-Cons. Yeah. Maybe, hopefully they just replace mine when I send them in.
VentureBeat did a analysis of the ad money that was spent in the video game industry, like television ads and that sort of thing. And they said, this is sort of an estimate, but it's estimated that Nintendo spent about $46 million on ads. And just for context, that's about half of what Microsoft and Sony spend on ads. I don't know if that's more up or down, though I think David, you pointed this out when we were kind of talking about this. That's more than they ever spent on the Wii U or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're definitely up in that regard. I don't know about the last couple of years, if that's up or down. I remember seeing lots of Super Mario Maker 2 ads. I don't remember a lot of any other ads from Nintendo this year. They must have advertised.
Well, I don't
Pokemon.
have a TV.
Me either. That's my problem.
So it's like, mainly when I have YouTube Premium, so I never see YouTube ads either. So it's like, they're kind of lost on me. But then whenever I do go home and the TV is on, I do see Nintendo ads all the time on TV. And I mean, and I think more so than what they have been spending this year or this past year or whatever, I think they got really better at targeting their market. You know what I mean? Like the Wii U, like I went back and watched some like old Wii U commercials recently. Those are really bad commercials. Do you guys remember those? Yeah.
I don't remember any of those.
That's why
there weren't
bad.
that many. Yeah.
Like
they gave up pretty early.
Yeah, they gave up early. They're very abstract, and it's like half the time it's like showing kids, half the time it's showing old people. Like the ads for Switch are so much more like focused and just about the console itself.
I just remembered another Nintendo ad I saw this year, which is the one where there's a dad playing next to his kid's crib, and that is my life.
Yeah.
I mean, my kid is not in a crib anymore, but when my kid falls asleep, if he's like, "Oh, I want you to stay in the room," I'm like, "Okay." He's in a lofted bed, so I just sit under his bed and play Switch.
Well, I know I saw one for Pokemon Go because I still play Pokemon Go like every single day of my life.
Nice.
And it was like this little kid who got a Squirtle stuffed animal, and then it's when they introduced like the buddy mechanic, and I was like, this is so wholesome. And I almost cried.
That was an emotional
so
commercial.
It was like really good.
Yeah.
It's like having a Tamagotchi all over again, but he was growing up with his plush Squirtle.
I mean, it's like, that's perfect. I mean, that ad is made for us, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, Pokemon hit right at that age where I was like obsessed with Squirtle and Pikachu and all that kind of stuff. And now we're adults. So yeah, they've definitely gotten a better marketing team, which is good for them.
Untitled Goose Game, the one of the creators of that game, tweeted that they reached 100 million copies sold.
Honk.
Wow.
So that's pretty awesome for them.
Honky New Year.
Yeah, I'll talk more about that game.
I don't know if Honky New Year is the correct thing to say there, but
Starts with an H.
The game is such a breakout, and it's associated with the Switch very strongly. So.
yeah, well, it's out on PS4 and Xbox now, right?
I don't know. Has it come out yet?
Yeah.
I know
I
it's
think
it's
out.
on
on
at least
PS4
PS4
for sure.
Yeah.
It came out in December, like middle of December.
I'm sure that's what pushed it over the million mark, you know?
That's a good call. Because it happened pretty recently, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and they're a small team, so they split that between 4 people. I think they're
doing all right.
I think they're doing all right. And it basically shows right now they can make literally whatever they want. It just gives them a lot of freedom. So good for them.
So Nintendo had a lawsuit going on that we've not talked about against a Switch pirate game seller. And there's an article on Torrent Freak about this, that they won judgment against this person. And basically, I don't think it's a money judgment, but and I think it might. I saw the word injunction, so that might just be like a temporary. I guess they. As a paralegal, I'm like really trying to analyze the legal part of this, but let's just get to the meat of it. Is the person can no longer like sell these devices?
Yeah,
basically,
it's essentially a cease and desist, as I understand it. Yeah.
I guess they were selling like SD cards with games on them or something like that.
Yeah, or at least the ability to access downloaded ROMs for the Switch, which is obviously the big no-no. It also included like ways in which to hack your Switch and just to access these ROMs. So I think that's mainly what Nintendo was trying to shut down. It's just like the kind of funnel into piracy.
They were like selling devices.
Yeah.
They could,
Yeah, and that's completely fair. I think anytime you've got something that's going to directly lead to piracy, like homebrewing and hacking your Switch doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be pirating, but it's like when you've got like the Soulja Boy console.
it's kind of interesting. I think, as it's already been said by other people, that this isn't a money judgment. You know, it's really, they didn't seem to go for like millions of dollars or something. So
yeah, I mean, this is like at odds with when they like sued that ROM website for like millions and millions of dollars, you know, that they certainly don't have, you know, so it's weird that they're not going as hard on this guy as they were on the ROM source. But
yeah, it's crazy to see like that. It's like Team Executor or something like that. Whatever their chip name is. They've been like, that group has been hacking stuff since like the original Xbox that I remember. So it's so weird to see them still hacking consoles, like still around as a thing.
Yeah.
And selling chips.
Hideki Kamiya over at Platinum Games. We've got a few things quickly about things. He's always saying snarky stuff.
He's a prolific Twitter user.
Yes, who likes to block English-speaking people.
Yeah.
Among other things. But anyway, first thing we'll say is that he called the Switch home screen menu a piece of crap, which is arguable. I know a lot of people hate parts of it.
Yeah.
It's too simple and that kind of thing. And that was, I think he said that in a tweet.
That was a tweet, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong, though, either. Like, I mean, it's not like a literal piece of crap.
I think he's saying the game icons are too big and it's hard, you know, all of your games are kind of over in a big sort of, he calls it like a trash can almost. Like.
Yeah, I think he just wants like folders and better organization, which makes sense. I don't think that anybody is pissed off that the home menu is so fast and snappy.
Yeah.
Like that's the good part of it. But
right.
I think that, yeah, it has become just like a trash heap for indie games.
It's funny that somebody that big up in, you know, Japanese video game, even Nintendo related games is outright saying that. So.
Yeah.
I can't think of any console UI that I've been like, yeah, this is the one
That's
that I
true.
really like.
I feel like PS4, Xbox and PS4 are just too cluttered.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It is
but
really
then
too much.
Nintendo's too little. Like I forget that I bought other games other than the 3 I've been playing over and over and over again.
Yeah. I think the best home screen like console UI I've used is the 3DS. Like they nailed it down with that. You know, it had folders, it had themes, it was still snappy, it was still fun and Nintendo-y, and not too complicated. Like the Wii U was similar home screen, but then that also had like the awkwardness of like switching between, like you would either have the menu on the TV or on the gamepad, and so that was kind of awkward to navigate.
Oh yeah,
and it was, and the main problem with the Wii U was that it was really slow. Like the Wii U home screen, like loading a game took like 15 times as long as it does on the Switch. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to see that go. But yeah, something back down to kind of the svelte sort of nature of the 3DS home screen. I
remember
really
the
nice.
DS, you could download like little themes for it.
Yeah.
And I had like a little Psyduck on the beach. It was really cute.
That's great.
But like, I can't make my Switch really cute now.
Yeah. Well, if you hack your console, you can. Hideki Kamiya being sued for hacking his console.
So there's a like I guess a streaming platform in Japan or maybe worldwide, but called Nico Nico.
That's on the Switch. There's a Nico Nico.
Oh, really?
There's a Nico Nico app on my Switch.
In some sort of live stream, Kamiya said that Platinum's going to have some interesting news in 2020. So probably related. Well, that could be related to games that aren't on the Nintendo Switch, but also on Twitter, somebody asked him about Bayonetta 3 directly, and he said it's basically on track or going well, depending on your translator. So maybe we'll hear about that soon.
We might even hear about that in a couple days.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Saber Interactive is the company that ported Witcher 3 to Switch, and they have stated they have some new games to announce for the Switch specifically. So maybe some other big ports.
I think it would have to be probably ports.
Yeah. Now that they've done that, I'm sure they're getting some work on that front.
I think that we're going to be seeing lots of ports from Saber and what's that? Austin based?
Panic Button?
Panic Button. Like all these companies are like starting to nail down how to port these really big games to Switch. And I've only played like the first few minutes of Witcher 3, but I was pretty blown away already
does it look
by the
okay?
work they did. Yeah, I mean it's lower res, but it's like performance wise, which is what really matters. I think like it's really impressive for such a huge game. So I'm down to see whatever they do next, and whatever they do next will probably not be as ambitious as Witcher 3. So I imagine it'll be running pretty well.
Yeah, I know. Like Robert Robert Segovia was talking about the Skyrim port, and that he owns multiple copies, but he plays the Switch port most.
What's cool, you can take it with you everywhere.
Yeah.
You have all my stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's really feels good.
Yeah. My sister's put so many hours into the Switch version specifically of Skyrim. Like I think she played it on Xbox originally, but yeah, it's like being able to just like literally start playing within seconds is massive for these big games. Yeah.
And there is some speculation that 64 gigabyte game cards, like cartridges, are coming. There's a memory company called Macronix from Taiwan, and it's been stated that Nintendo is their first customer for some of their new memory products, and so people think that's what that is. So maybe more big games could come physically on stuff like that. And then some potentially related news that I don't believe is that there's been a lot of rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to the Switch. There's
the source is shaky at best.
that's what we'll get into.
Much.
I guess a while back there had been some website that's a little bit more legitimate that it had like a Switch as back when Red Dead came out or whatever, but recently
It's like a retailer, right?
What's stirring this up now, though, yeah, exactly. But now it's like a website called Instant Gaming, which is just like a Spanish key reselling website.
Yeah, which are already so sketchy.
Right.
Yeah.
Already sketchy. And then apparently, I think if you saw when this got posted on Reddit, people were like, this website has a shit ton of games that aren't announced.
Yeah, like
listed.
Bully 2 has been listed on that site for like over a year, and that's never been announced. GTA 6. It's like, I mean, we know GTA 6 is coming at some point, but it's like...
Yeah. This isn't... They don't have any information like a real retailer would. But it's been swirling. I guess people want it, and that's why it's.
Did any of you play Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yeah.
I started it, and then I really loved the first one, and it got stolen from me at my birthday party.
No.
Like they took it out of the actual console.
That's
Someone
fucking
stole
bullshit.
And yeah, it was really bad.
That's very on
I was
brand
like, "Happy
for Red
birthday!
Dead.
Thanks for coming to my party."
Damn.
I've had stuff stolen at a house party too.
And I was like, we were almost 100% out of everything. And so we just never went back. And I finally got the second one, and I was trying to play, and I kept messing up with the new mechanics and immediately accidentally stole someone's horse or I was trying to get off the horse and kick someone in the face. And then I was wanted, and I was like, this ruined everything. And I missed a major plot line. And I was like, fine, I'm just not going to do it.
Well, maybe if it comes to Switch, you can rectify those mistakes.
I feel like it would break it. It took me like 3 hours to download it.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's enough, even with the card, I feel like it's not enough space.
Yeah.
Well, I know,
It
like
gets so hot.
It's a very demanding
the
game.
Xbox version had like an install disc and then a play disc, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you could compress that down to 64 gig cart size, like we were talking about with those carts, but it's like those are going to be expensive, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, and there's already kind of speculation that Nintendo subsidized a little bit of the production of Witcher 3 for Switch because that all fit on a 32 gig cart, which is rare, and you don't see those very often. Those are already kind of expensive. So it's like, if we see games using these, like say Red Dead Redemption 2, I think it would have to be somewhat subsidized from Nintendo, because it's like this physical media just costs a lot more than a disc. Are there any other games though that you guys think might utilize this 64 gig thing if we do end up getting these carts?
I mean, I don't think we would get Red Dead Redemption 2 a couple years out of its release. Maybe GTA 5.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of too.
Yeah, GTA 5. But I mean, I don't think you'd even need a 64 gig card for
Maybe a
that.
32.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it fit on, we had that on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
It wouldn't, if you base it on that port, it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, 32 gigs for GTA 5, 32 gigs for GTA Online.
Yeah. 2 cartridges.
Yeah.
Might as well do a 64 gig at that point.
Yeah, the install for GTA 5 on PC is like 95 gigs or something like that. Something ridiculous.
I think you can compress a lot of textures and stuff, though. I mean, if like you have somebody like Saber working on it, they've, they did a lot of work on the back end for Witcher 3 to
it's
like
insane.
changing it up, But I will say, I'll just say this, and this is wild speculation. Take this with the biggest grain of salt that there is possible. Final Fantasy VII Remake is apparently 55 gigs on the PS4 for an install, and it only has a 1-year exclusivity on PS4. So
We'll see.
could have, yeah, it's probably not. That's like one of the best looking games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna doubt it. But
If you're listening right now, David did a wink to you.
did I?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my Tourette's.
So the Japanese Splatoon Twitter account tweeted out a New Year tweet with a picture, and this was kind of cute. It had like 2020 on it, but in the reflection in the water, it was like SOS, and the waves kind of made it look like it says "Save our salmon." And of course, people are running wild thinking that this means Splatoon 3 is coming. I personally don't think that's...
Yeah, I don't
they've
think-
even, in fact, said they haven't started development on that.
Well, it's
we
the
can't
same-
ever trust what people say.
It's the same team that's working on Animal Crossing, right?
Right, it is. And so they're probably very focused on that for the next year if they're going to support the game and that kind of stuff. But also, maybe it does hint at, like, I still believe Splatoon 3 races, maybe salmonoids will be more important in Splatoon 3.
That's some juicy spec.
Yeah. They'll have 3 races. That's my... So maybe they are starting to talk about it and think about it and do things like that. Who knows?
They're definitely playing around with Splatoon, like messing with the fans right now.
Yeah, they've
like,
been tweeting a lot of weird things.
Yeah, there was that like picture of
Pearl or
what's her name?
Marie?
Callie and Marie, and then Pearl, and they were all in like a photo, like it looked like a selfie or something on a cell phone. It's like, but where's Marina? Everybody's like, oh my god,
she's dead.
Marina being missing is going to be the plot of Splatoon 3. And then the next day they post another picture, and Marina's just the one taking the photo. But it's like either way, they're messing with the fans a lot, and I think that we haven't seen the end of Splatoon 2. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to be having any more. I mean, we know there's another patch coming, right? They said
a balance patch.
Yeah, at least a balance patch. There's like an update coming of some nature, and they said that there aren't going to be any more Splatfests because they aren't supporting that anymore.
Right.
But I think that we could see like a new Salmon Run mode or something like that.
They could always do a DLC or something.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But either way, I love Splatoon 2. I'm happy to see that it's still got some life in it.
Atlas. We talked about this on our 2020 show that Shin Megami Tensei 5 hadn't had any news, and it still doesn't really. But in an interview with Famitsu, somebody from Atlas said, and then also they tweeted about this, that we can expect some more news about that game.
I love news that
About
news is coming.
Yeah. There's an announcement that there will be an announcement.
It's like the trailers that say, here's the trailer for this movie.
Yeah.
It's like the trailer before the trailer. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
We've come into the age of recursion, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, how much deeper can you go? Layer.
So yeah, there's no news there, but I did want to mention it because we had just talked about that. So
I have no expectations for this Shin Megami Tensei game. I
Yeah.
have no idea what it's going to be like.
kind of getting into some stuff that kind of points to some stuff maybe for this year with that, and also a leaker of some renown, Emily Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo leaker.
She's a very credible leaker.
Said that there's going to be 2 more Wii U ports in 2020, and she also said that if you don't like Animal Crossing, the beginning of the year is going to kind of suck for you. So kind of what we all expect, or what I expect, which is that all the releases are going to be stacked in the summer and fall. And
So is that Tokyo Mirage Sessions and
Animal
Super Mario
Crossing.
3D World?
Oh, you mean what are the? No, it's 2 beyond that. So
two beyond.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Okay, gotcha. So
I think it's Super Mario 3D World, and then you guys tell me what you think the other one, or you argue with me if you don't think it's that one. But
Pikmin 3.
Pikmin 3,
Was
Wonderful
Wind Waker?
101.
Wind
Wii U
Waker might
exclusive?
count.
You could argue that counts.
Yeah.
Because I remember playing that on the Wii U and it was really fun.
Yeah, they like rebuilt it for that, so that would work well with the tablet mode. Yeah, I mean, Wonderful 101, people have been talking about for a long time.
I hope it's Wonderful 101.
Yeah, if Kamiya is like, we're having more platinum stuff coming out,
Yeah.
that could be what he's talking about. But yeah, I'd probably prefer that over Pikmin 3. I think they should just move on to Pikmin 4.
I hope we just get Pikmin 4. What do you think, Matt? You want it to be Xenoblade Chronicles 6?
Why is that funny? Why is that funny
It
to
just
you guys?
is.
Just know you like it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do like it. I don't think we're going to see it, though.
No.
Not with the HD remake
true,
of
that's
Chronicles
Yeah.
1.
We'll see that in
coming
2021.
out. Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to go Wonderful 101. I think Super Mario 3D World Wonderful 101.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
my guess.
3D World for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
There was
No, actually, Super Mario Maker 1.
there was a GameStop leak, sort of. It's not really a leak, but somebody took a picture of GameStop has a bunch of like SKUs or SKUs, whatever you want to call them, that they have like sort of available for the Switch, which typically we see right before a Direct. So all these things are kind of pointing to a possible Nintendo Direct coming in January. We all kind of hope for that, expect it. There's also been people know that there's going to be an update or there's maintenance rather for Switch coming on January 7th, which will happen before this episode releases, I believe.
Right.
So maybe we are all currently enjoying a new version of the Switch because it says that it's got some update data on it
Man, I love these new folders and themes.
I
that we were just complaining about not existing, which would be funny.
Eat it, Kamiya.
I love this Weather Channel app with this sweet weather music.
Finally, the Wii Shop theme is back.
know. Or the Me Plaza. Bring that back.
All that stuff means that maybe I'm hoping that we'll get a Direct around the time this episode comes out.
But yeah, as far as these GameStop SKUs are concerned, I've also heard some differing opinions on this. I was reading a comment on Reddit saying that they are a GameStop employee and that these SKUs have been in there since E3 of last year. You know what I mean? So it's like they basically always have placeholder SKUs, like regardless. Like now, it has happened in the past that it's like right before a Direct or like, for instance, right before E3, a bunch of SKUs popped up. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of these have been in the system for like over half a year at this point.
Yeah,
so
they all
like,
say release date 12/31/19, which I
Oh,
could
fuck,
I
yeah,
could
you're
see
right.
that being like old ones that are still in the system.
yeah, you're
Totally.
right. So it's take it again, massive grain of salt. I think regardless, there's going to be a Direct soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that we have to argue that. Now, if it's January or February, that's kind of what we don't know. But
But maybe you do. Listening.
yeah, maybe it's happened already. We record this one in advance too.
We are recording this one a little bit in advance. We should say that. Yeah.
Because Amanda's in town.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with that, we're going to take a real quick break and move on to our main topic. So, we're talking about replayability or the replay value of games and some games that we've played a lot of times. I think just kind of like David, you were saying at the top of the show, books, movies, you read it once, you read it twice, it's the same book, same movie. Video games are unique in that you can have, not every game is like this, and we'll kind of talk about that, but you can have different experiences for various different reasons, and games also try to market themselves and have ways to increase replay value in different ways to argue that their game is more valuable or worth more money or a good game to buy and play. So the way I want to talk about this is some sort of big picture stuff at the top, and then maybe some personal reflections, and then maybe some of the ways that games encourage or have replay value. So
Sounds good to me. Good structure, Patrick.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the affirmation I needed. So do you guys, and I tried to strike, do you all think that replay value is important when you buy a game? Do you think about it at all?
Amanda?
Sometimes I have a hard time where I get really close to the end of a game and then I'm like, I'm going to save this for later. And then I have like a bunch of games that I haven't finished. So it's almost like I have to go back and I replay it either way.
Right.
So, but no, that's not primarily what I look for in a game.
Yeah.
If there is an option to go back and do it differently, then I'll probably go back and do it.
Yeah. What? Anybody else have thoughts on this? Is it important or not important? Or
Yeah,
sometimes?
I think lately I have found myself not replaying games until like
It's just too
several
much right
several
now.
years after.
We have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to games.
Right.
Yeah. And it's also because the one reason to replay a game is New Game Plus. And many New Game Plus for games these days come out later. So like several 2-3 months after it. One of them being the new Star Wars game. I have it sitting.
Jedi
Fallen Order. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like that's going to have New Game Plus, but it's not out yet.
Is it not out yet?
No.
Oh, I guess they have difficulty stuff. Like you can go
Yes.
back and play at a higher difficulty if
Yeah.
you wanted to.
I don't have personally, I don't have a desire to play it at a higher difficulty.
Yeah.
I'm playing it on like the second to easiest difficulty, and I'm not good at it. So I'm definitely not playing it.
Yeah, and we
I'm
may
like
kind of
ultimate
jump
Jedi
around
mode.
because this is one of the things I was going to talk about later. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never get excited about like I've unlocked hard mode. That doesn't then encourage me to want to replay a
I
game.
barely made it this far. I don't want to do it again, but more difficult. No, I
Yeah.
never play any different difficulty. I take it down, actually. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want to have a good time.
Yeah,
I
if you
don't
want to play through it again, yeah,
Like-
that makes sense to me. Rarely do I want to play a second time on a harder mode. More often, like you said.
like
Yeah.
beast mode. I'm like, that doesn't it doesn't
Yeah.
appeal to me.
Yeah, like I'm kind of like you where I have problems finishing games, and it's like oftentimes, you know, like if I finish it, then it's like, oh my god, that's a huge fucking achievement. Like I'm probably then gonna try to finish another game rather than like play that game again. But that having been said, there are some games that are just more fun when they're harder. You know what I mean? Like ones that are, you know, a lot of platformers are like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like you get off on the difficulty of the game, right? But like for a game like Jedi Fallen Order, which we'll talk about later in the show, I'm playing that game mainly for the story and the ambiance and the characters and stuff like that. And it's like I'm not good at Dark Souls type gameplay,
No.
so it's like. I'm okay playing it at like not that hard of a difficulty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as like the wanting to buy a game because it has replay value, I don't think that that's ever the main reason that I buy a game. I think that that's a nice bonus. Like if you're spending
Right.
$60 on a game, especially if it's a game that's only 15, 20 hours long, if you're spending $60 on that, it's like it's nice to know that once you beat it, if you want
Right.
to go back, that you'll get bang for your buck. It's
Yeah.
like a good way to like clinch bang for your buck. For
Yeah, in that context, so we're talking about like single player experiences, not necessarily like multiplayer deathmatch style games.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Which
guess
is
multiplayer
another
games are like replayable by nature.
Right,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
something we can talk about, and I have on here. But I think that you know, maybe us as more adults, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but that we're, you know, like, but you know what I mean? Like,
I'm Patrick's
you're not
kid.
a kid who has to beg to get a new game, where then you might be like, I want a game that I can replay 4 different ways because I might not get another game till my next birthday or something, or people that have, you know, less income or whatever, you know,
Well,
I can
and
see that being a
That
big
and
draw.
I think that like replayability is almost kind of a bit of a relic of the past in that game cartridges were only, you know, they were very small and you can only fit so much game on like an NES cartridge or whatever. And like you're spending $50-$60 back in the 80s on
Yeah.
this. And so it's like, that's why games were hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you would have to spend more time and get the most bang for your buck that you could. And I guess this goes back to like the original Mario Brothers with like the kind of now all the Goombas are shells or whatever. And that's a little harder. It's just like squeezing every little bit of value out of the game that you can in like a post arcade era.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some personal reflections then. Like, what are games that, when you think about replaying games in the past or now, that you have played a lot repeatedly? Are there any that jump to mind?
Yeah, there's one game that comes to mind. It's Chrono Trigger, and the reason I replay that multiple times is so I can make certain characters stronger. So, like, primarily, I always play with like Chrono, Frog, and Magus.
But you don't get Magus until late game.
Right, but Magus is OP, and he floats while he runs.
So is this a new game plus sort of situation, or is this like just playing the base game again?
Playing the base game again
Yeah.
while experimenting with different characters I didn't get to explore
Because that's
the
a
first
game
time.
where you could do the attacks that had all 3 of your characters, so you
Exactly.
could
Yeah,
have
you could
different
chain 'em.
combinations, and it
Yeah.
could be a slightly different experience. Yeah, I can see
Same
that.
story, different experience, and new characters. So that's one
Yeah.
reason that I might replay game.
Yeah.
Chrono Cross is great for that too, because Chrono Cross has like 40 playable characters.
There's so many.
And you can like abandon characters if you want, or keep them with you the whole time. So it's like they really doubled down on the sequel for that. Man, let's talk about Chrono Cross every episode.
Yeah, let's do it. What about y'all?
Amanda, are there any games that you play a lot?
I played Skyrim like a bunch of times. Like the first one that I played through as an Argonian because I was like, well, he can breathe underwater, so I can get all the loot underwater. I'm all about loot in any game for sure. And then I was like, well, I'm the sneaky archer lizard man. So next time I wanted to get better with like the different classes of magic, kind of like in D&D, but and then I made an orc the second time and I was like, okay, I'm going to be like a two-handed weapon orc guy. And then I became a sneaky archer again as an orc. And then I played as
pulling you back in.
Yeah, and I kept saying, well, I want that sword I got from that one quest. So even though I was replaying it, I kept doing the same stuff I already did.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I'm going to make one that looks like my cat. And so I made a Khajiit that looked just like my cat.
I've got a Khajiit named Cosmo. It's based on my cat.
His name is Baby Cat, and he's also a sneaky archer. So
I'll be honest with you, sneaky archer in Skyrim
I
is
just got
kind
used
of
to
the way
like
to
squatting,
go.
and I was like, you upped your sneak. And I was like, well, then I can't do anything else.
Right. Yeah, I guess Skyrim is kind of unique in that way because it like you level up stuff by just doing the thing.
Yeah.
So if you're like already hardwired to crouch all the time, you're always going to be a
It's like, the only
archer.
way to level up like your shield ability is to use the shield. And so I would go to like the pond and find a crab, and I would just smack at the crab like for an hour until my sneak was leveled up as high as I could get.
Yeah.
So.
I think Bethesda games are really good. I think that's a great example of good replay value. Like I like the story you just told about playing Skyrim over and over again with different builds has got to be true for like I would say a large percentage of people that play Skyrim. Like for instance, my sister, I always bring her up when we talk about Skyrim just because she's like played it so many times. But it's like, and also my friend Leslie Curtis, like she's constantly just starting new characters in Skyrim and never finishing the game because there is so much to it. And that's the same with Fallout and like all these like Bethesda RPGs and like Obsidian RPGs, like Path of Exile and stuff like that, or whatever that game is called.
I got a friend, coworker who listens to the podcast. Hey, Kyle, who does this every time.
Hey, Kyle, what's up, man?
Kyle?
What's up, Kyle?
Hey,
He's got a big
we love
family.
you, Kyle.
Dude, Kyle, how
a
are you
big family, and every time they go out of town, he's like, what I do is I just start a new game of Skyrim.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, that game does that for sure. Are there any games for you, David, that you think about?
I'm
replay
not
a lot?
as big on replaying games personally. Like I said, I'm always kind of I've got so much in my backlog that it like feels wrong to replay games a lot of time. However, there are a few games that I've like 100%ed.
Yeah, or in the past. Or something.
Like the first one that comes to my mind is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Because you beat that game, you beat all the levels, you get all the stars, you get like 120 stars. And you're like, hell yeah, I've beaten the game. And then all of a sudden Luigi unlocks. And then they unlock like 3 new green stars that you can find in every single level.
I never made it that far.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
And I'm a huge Mario fan. This is probably one of the first Mario games other than Super Mario World that I 100%ed, right? Because it then all of a sudden it's just like becomes an exploration game. And it's like,
right.
every single nook and cranny in these really well designed and well crafted levels
that
now
you didn't even
I'm like,
think about. Yeah.
And not only is it adding a new gameplay experience of like a kind of hide and seek sort of thing, you're still traversing the levels, which is just as fun. And also you get to like appreciate even more the level design the second time around because you're really seeing every facet of the level, where before you're so goal oriented on like doing whatever the objective is that you kind of just pass stuff by. But then whenever you have to like go behind every single nook and cranny, and then those nooks and crannies also have like their own unique traversal methods in order to get there. It just really opened up the game a ton, and I got all 240 stars in that game.
Nice.
It was like, it was a blast. Like there's a reason that's one of my favorite Mario games of all time, and I really hope they port that. But that's the first example that comes to my mind when it comes to replaying.
For me, I am similar in some ways that I don't replay games much, and nowadays especially, because I'm trying to just beat the next game in my backlog or whatever, and I also just don't do it. But historically, Final Fantasy, I guess it's 4, was 2 in the US.
We can use the new numbering
Yeah,
method.
I use the new numbering method is 4. I still have resistance to it. But Final Fantasy 4 from the Super Nintendo, when I was like I don't know, in my early 20s, I would like go out and get drunk and then just come home and just play that all night until I fell asleep. And so I beat that game many times in a row and not remembering all of it. That game was just kind of a comfort game for me to just like play and not have to think about.
Yeah.
And just grind. Kind of like you're talking about it didn't have the character thing like Chrono Trigger, but just like start at the beginning of the game and just grind the shit out of my character like before I even went to anywhere and then just fucking cruise through the game.
Yeah. I don't have the patience for that. But I will say something else that you said, Amanda, that resonated with me is like getting X number of hours into an RPG, forgetting where you were, and then just replaying the beginning. I've replayed the first like 5 to 10 hours of Final Fantasy VII probably 8 times. I've still never beaten that game. But if that counts, I have replayed that game technically.
It kind of does.
And rebought it on, I had it on PlayStation and then PC originally, and then now my Switch. So it's like, they've definitely got me. I'll probably get it for PS4 whenever the remake comes out, too.
Well, I think what's interesting, too, is I think the different examples we gave are all kinds of different ways that a game could encourage replayability. So I kind of want to talk about that next. So like for my example was kind of like a comfort, you just want to re-experience a game. Like it's the same story. It's a linear story, but you want to replay it because it wasn't a meaningful experience, which is kind of like rereading a book or watching a movie a bunch of times. And some games you just want to do that again. But then your example, Matt, was a slight variation on that, which is like same story, but you pick a different build out or something. Which is kind of similar to the Skyrim thing too, but I feel like with Skyrim it's even different because your character affects not just how you play it, but maybe the story. Like you were like, I'm going to play as a lawful good character and I will kill all the assassins guilds or whatever. You know what I mean? The choices you make in Skyrim.
Another game like that where you play a different loadout or a different character that I played a lot was Borderlands 2 and like Borderlands pre-sequel, because then they had new characters that were downloadable and they had such cool skill trees with your power-ups and stuff, and I really, really liked that game. It had really good couch co-op.
And that would like bring you back into the game when they added a new character?
Yeah, or like you'd play as a character that was a character in the storyline, and it's like, oh, well, now I can play as the little robot that says all the bullshit. and that one was really fun, too.
Yeah.
And like your example was like that sort of platformer, like you do the harder, you go back through and do the harder thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is slightly different.
Or not even like harder.
Explore.
It changes the kind of game that it is. Right.
I think that's like, an interesting.
I love that game so much. But yeah, it's like, I think a reason that I was so apt to then go back and do all the kind of exploratory green star finding and hunting of that game was that I never had to backtrack earlier in the game. You know what I mean? Like I kind of resent backtracking in games because that feels like it's artificially bloating the length of a game.
Yeah.
With a level-based game like Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is different from Super Mario Galaxy 1. Like there's no hub world that has a lot of backtracking, right? But in Mario Galaxy 2, it's just, okay, next level. And it's like crafted for just that level experience. And then you beat it and you get all the stars the first time around and then you just play the next level. And then by the time you're done, enough time has passed to where you're like, oh, I don't care that I'm backtracking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like backtracking because there's something new to find every time you go. So I think that's a really good example of a good way to extend a game's life. Another thing, just kind of, again, hopping on the Bethesda train, I like games where you can kind of craft your own game style. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, games like that where the story is directly impacted by what you do are really fun to do. Like it's fun to go back. Like I played Fallout 3 and then I like finished it and I beat all the DLC and everything. And then the next time I played Fallout 3, I did Fallout 3 where I tried to kill literally every single person in the game.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, cause you can kill anyone. And then like, if you kill them, you just don't get their quests. You know what I mean? And so it became my goal to be the only living person in that world. You know what I mean?
I think that's another kind of replayability. Like, I think I've never played this game, but like Deus Ex or something where you have the choice of how you beat a mission. You know what I mean? Is a different, like you might want to play a game and be real stealthy, or you might want to play a game and just gun the whole way through or something like that.
And there will be multiple endings in games like that.
And alternate endings is another big reason to replay a game. Something like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Fire Emblem is basically 4 games in one.
Yeah, the new Fire Emblem game right there, where that's another way to that you can hook people in.
Another one like that was Undertale, which I played once the way through, and they're like, well, there's ways where you can play it where you don't kill anyone, and there's a whole different storyline. And I was like, well,
And
I was overwhelmed with that idea.
I have
So
no
I
idea.
didn't go back, but
My friend Austin was telling me about this too. And it's like the game knows how you've played it. So the next time you play it, that is affected. Like,
it says, well, I remember
the
last
game-
time you did this.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what?
So like, and if you kill everybody, it knows that you did that. And then it, I don't know how this works because I've never played the game, but I think that's fascinating that a game will like recognize your previous choices on your previous playthroughs.
I still haven't beaten Undertale, but I did a pacifist run the first time through just because like I liked all the mini games that came up instead of battling.
Yeah.
You know, because like RPG battling can get kind of tired over time.
Yes.
Another example of that goes from game to game are like the Telltale games. You know,
yeah.
like the Telltale like kind of
Choose your own.
storytelling stuff. It's like you get the sequel to Walking Dead, you know, the second season or whatever, Walking Dead, and all your choices from the first game transfer over. So then if you go back and play the first one, make different choices, then the second game is also brand new.
Yeah.
You know, to an extent.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because in that second playthrough, you get to experience new scenes for characters that you choose to live or die.
Yeah.
And I think that's a unique thing that video games can do is have that sort of nonlinear story.
Unless you're the movie Clue.
I like that, though. Then I get to know all the endings.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's also another thing that I like to do is maybe we've all done this is you can apply some immersion, like self-imposed challenges while you're playing a game. So like me and buddies like to play GTA 5 law-abiding citizen where we just obey the traffic laws.
Oh, and you just drive real good?
You just drive real
Obey all the
I can't
stop
do
signs.
that.
You can't speed. You just
That's hard in a game where you go by pressing
You have to
X.
call a cab.
Yeah, you don't steal
instead
cars.
Of a helicopter.
I've always felt that GTA should be like Undertale. Like you can totally do every mission by just baking somebody a cake.
It like rewards you for playing by the rules.
You can play either way. You know what I mean? But whatever.
Yeah, games like that. Another good example would be like Knights of the Old Republic, where you kind of like choose whether to go light side or dark side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that makes it an entirely different game depending on what you do. Mass Effect was supposed to be that way, and then people were kind of pissed off that like Mass Effect 3, the ending didn't really change that much, but it's like still throughout that gameplay experiences you could go on.
Yeah, I remember playing like Fable and Fable 2 on Xbox and like becoming evil. And then like as you become more evil, horns grow from your head. And then the people in the town would respond to the horns in your head where like shops would cost more money because you were evil.
Right,
Then you just kill them and steal their stuff.
Yeah. Well, you're evil.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I think we've covered most of the game mechanics that offer replay value that I kind of have on this list. One that we haven't talked about much really is like time trials or speed runs. Some games will encourage you to do that, especially platformers. Does that ever speak to anybody here? It doesn't really speak to me. I never really want to like beat my own time on stuff.
I like it depending on the game.
Yeah.
Like Mario Kart, like I love doing time trials, you know, and that's something that me and my brother would always like compare times on Mario Kart and try to like optimize stuff. But Mario Kart, you can also add gameplay experiences, like you were saying, Matt, with like don't drink and drive or like different party modes. You know, you can kind of turn games into. But yeah, I think like a game that I did go back and do the time trials on was Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, because just the Donkey Kong games are so fun to play fast.
And
you know,
there's
they
like
reward
that
you by
hidden
skipping.
route that if you realize that you could go super fast.
Yeah. And then, you know, and they give you medals, like, depending on how much better you do.
Yeah.
And
Those are
some
ways
games
that-
are built around that. Like Sayonara
Right.
Wild Hearts is built around that, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
And then before we move on, I just feel like we should acknowledge the kind of what you were talking about, multiplayer games. There's sort of non-narrative games that have replay kind of built into them, like roguelikes, like, you know, Binding of Isaac's a
For
game you
sure.
replay in a certain sense.
I totally forgot about that whole genre of games when it comes to replay value.
It fits
It's
into
like
this very well, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the pedestal of replayable
Yeah.
games. Like,
That's by nature how it's meant to be.
yeah, it's like a drip feed of unlocks that you get throughout it. And it's like, yeah, it's meant to be played over and over and over again.
And
I
we've
fucking do.
an entire episode about that. You could go back and listen to, so we won't like dig super deep into that.
No, let's do it. I'm just kidding.
And then like competitive games, like fighters, shooters, stuff like you talk about deathmatch games, like that's meant to be something you get better. Or, you know, the replay, the loop there is like you want to get better, you want to beat people, and some people that's all the only game they play or something is like, you know.
Yeah, I've been playing Halo 5 for 3 years.
Yeah.
And Halo Waypoint keeps track of all the time you spent in the game. And it's somewhere I've spent like 47 days
Oh my God.
playing that game.
Yeah.
And like it's the most time I've spent on a game ever
Yeah.
with like playing with friends.
Well, I think we'd be remiss as well if we didn't mention like this whole concept of games as a service.
Yeah.
You know, with like Destiny or
Right.
you know, games like that where like
They
or even
just
Splatoon for that
add
matter.
stuff as it comes
Yeah, where
out,
it's like it is built around the hope that you will never stop playing this game.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like they're constantly adding more content. And it's like, I know a lot of gamers like resist that. And I think we kind of established at the beginning of this conversation that that's not necessarily what we're looking for in a game.
Right.
But certainly that's what the games industry thinks we want. You know what I mean? And it's like, and as much as we're like, oh, replayability isn't like a major factor for us, I think like companies like EA have proven that that's really all they care about.
And some of this too is designed. They designed these games to hook you, to replay them, to buy the skins or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other categories of things like they're sort of endless games like Minecraft or Mario Maker and stuff like that. Games that just don't have a clear loop that point us to just build, explore, play, or whatever.
Like user-generated content.
Yeah,
games. Yeah.
It's another category of things, which I don't know. I like Mario Maker, but I've never been a Minecraft person.
I think about those games like roguelikes almost.
Yeah, I can
where it's
see
like they're
that.
designed to be played forever.
Yeah.
They're designed as a platform. Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts before we move on to what we've been playing about just replayability? Anything that we didn't get to or that you want to share?
Yeah, it's just like overall the idea of like there are sometimes I'll spend $60 on a game, but it will be like a 6 or 7 hour experience, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Mm-hmm. And then the company might stop supporting that game, or say they'll release DLC, won't release DLC. Mm-hmm. I can't think of any game in particular that I've had that experience within the past couple of years.
Where they said they were going to release DLC and then didn't?
Yeah, or like delay the DLC for a really long
Kingdom
time.
Hearts.
What'd you say?
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's coming out, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's
look like what I was expecting.
Yeah, it's a year later.
Yeah.
Because Kingdom Hearts came out.
I'm like, I'm already over it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them was like, they were like, Mario Odyssey's getting DLC, and then it was just like that Find a Balloon DLC, and that was pretty much it, other than some random costumes. Which that, for me, like, the Balloon DLC, like, added maybe a couple extra days of play for me, but I got bored of that pretty quickly, and then I just never cared enough to go back and get the costumes. Like, there's no, like, real impactful gameplay change there that's going to make me want to go back to that. I wish they'd put out some Mario Party DLC, but
Yeah, I know.
not gonna fucking happen. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't remember roguelikes because it's like I've put just like like 1,500 hours into Binding of Isaac, and it like has never really gotten dull. I mean, I don't play it much anymore just because I forcibly stopped myself from continuing to play it because it was all I was playing. But it's like, yeah, man, like that's the golden standard, I think, for replaying games. And there's no shortage of roguelikes if you want to have infinite games.
Cool. Well, we'll take a quick break and move on to talking about what we've been playing.
Okay.
So here we are. It's been a while since we've talked, so I have a lot of things to share. Maybe y'all do too. I don't know.
Lay it on us,
Should I go first?
Yeah, you go ahead and
I'm gonna go
it, bro.
first. So I beat the main campaign in Box Boy and Box Girl, and I just want to mention that the ending to that game is dark.
Darker than
I beat the game and I was like, this cute little box game, and I was like, what the fuck? And then it goes to be continued.
Should we have you spoil it?
I don't know. I don't think it matters. Just know it's surprisingly dark, and also it says to be continued, so we can expect another.
Does he go to hell?
Another Box Boy game, not that dark.
Okay.
Does he go to heaven?
Importing material objects or something. Like
me and my family beat Untitled Goose Game, which I think is criminally short.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's a bad thing about it, but it was a fun family experience for us.
Patrick, I like that you say you beat Box Boy and Box Girl, but your family beat Untitled Goose Game.
We played it together.
You guys were all playing it.
Yeah, trading the controller around. My son would mostly just honk.
that's all I did.
but my wife
Flap my wings.
That's what we all did for about a month.
Yeah.
Just honk at each other.
Then I started and beat Owl Boy.
You started and beat that?
Yeah, since I've got several of these. I beat a lot of games recently, y'all. So Owl Boy, I want to talk about this for a minute. I never knew if I was liking it as I played it, but obviously played through and beat it. It was only my Switch says more than 5 hours played. I looked it up. It's around 8 hours.
That's a gorgeous game.
I never, nothing about the game did I love. Everything was okay. So it's kind of hard to recommend a game where it's like the controls are a little wonky. The same button to jump as fly.
You're like picking up people.
Yeah,
throughout
and your
that game,
attack
right?
is you switch between people you hold, and so it's just weird. I never felt like the controls. There were also times in the game where I'm like, I do not know what the game wants me to do.
Yeah.
And so, but I obviously stuck with it enough to beat it, so it's an okay game. I got new Super Lucky's Tale for Christmas from my son, and he and I played through that and beat it.
Did you get like
Dang.
that on a physical copy?
Yes,
Nice.
physical copy of it. Sorry, David.
That's okay.
My son is very much like he couldn't do a lot of it, so I played through most of it, but he did not want to like do anything extra, so that's why we beat it, because I'd be like, oh, there's 3 more levels in this world we could play. He's like, no, go to the boss battle.
But you liked it though.
Yeah, it's a really good 3D platformer, maybe on the easy side, but after beating it, you unlock a new area, and that's pretty hard so far. Like some of the, it's great too because it's got like auto run levels, it's got like exploration levels.
Yeah, I've heard it's very
got,
varied.
like puzzle kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So and it's got platforming stuff, so it's nice. It's got
Also,
it's
some Texas developers that made that.
Oh, really?
game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Playful is based in Texas.
Then I started playing Child of Light recently, which I also don't know if I'm really enjoying, but I realized I looked it up and I'm more than halfway through, so I think I'm just going to beat it. Weird 2D role-playing game
Yeah,
from Ubisoft.
I got that on my Vita a while ago.
I don't know if I can recommend it either. As I got Ring Fit Adventure, and I've been playing that daily since the new year. So
Really?
yeah.
You are looking pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think there's been no change yet.
Well, you've shed whatever pounds you put on during Christmas, then at least, because you look the
Maintenance.
same to me.
But like, I am super out of shape, y'all. That game has made me realize I'm like,
Squats are so hard to do over and over and over again.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good for me though because it's actually motivating me to move.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I've been playing a lot of games.
A little pep in your step.
Yeah.
Very good.
Who's
David.
next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Yeah, I got a few games as well on the eShop over the break. I haven't had a chance to start all of them. Again, usually old me would just play the first 5 minutes of all these and be like, I played these. And now I've been like holding off and kind of waiting on some of them. Like Witcher 3 was one of them that was actually kind of accidentally gifted to me because I got a copy of it for my sister, and then my mom also got a copy for my sister. So my mom just ended up giving the copy she got for her to me. So that ended up working out. So I played a little bit of that, but not much. I'll probably be jumping on that in like, I'd say probably later in January. But other than that, I'll save some of these for future episodes when I play more of them. But as far as the Switch is concerned, I've been playing The Tourist, that game from Shinen, the creators of Fast RMX, and I love this game.
Can you tell me what that game is about? I've seen visuals of it. You're kind of a blocky.
Yeah, it's kind of made in like a bit of a voxel style, sort of like 3D Dot Game Heroes. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
I remember that.
And sort of Minecrafty, I guess you could say, but
Yeah.
it's top down ish. You can move the camera around, and it's a non-violent, like exploration, almost Zelda type game.
Okay.
Where you have. You kind of go between these different islands. You're like a tourist and you're going to these different islands and you kind of unlock new islands as you go. And you just get quests from people that live on these islands. So a lot of times it'll be like, help pump this party up so it's really fun. So you have to like turn on all these lights and like get the DJ booth like nice and amplified and stuff like that. And then there's also like temples that you have to do that are more like kind of puzzle Zelda based. But the really fun thing about it is it's very minimal when it comes to storytelling and handholding. Like it's just a very vibrant, beautiful game that kind of just lets you run free and figure stuff out. And it also just runs like a dream. Like it does that kind of tilt shift style that Link's Awakening does, but it like has no slowdown, no, graphical glitches, no like gameplay issues. Like I'm loving this game so far.
Cool.
It's a blast. I would really recommend it. It wasn't on sale, but it was kind of more recently out, and I had a little bit of eShop money, so I got it, and I very much loved that game. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm a pretty far way in. And then, other than that, I actually have been playing a non-Switch game, y'all. Yeah, and it's a non-3DS game.
Whoa, non-Nintendo.
But yeah, for Christmas also, I got Jedi Fallen Order. And first of all, let me just say, as soon as I started playing this game, I was like, oh my God, I've been playing Switch games for the last 2 years. Because this game, like, looks amazing. And I know it's not even, like, the best looking PS4 game, but it, like, totally blew my socks off with just, like, the quality of the graphics. And, like, the world is so lived in. And, like, you start the game on, like, a scrapyard planet that's, like, tearing apart old, Clone Wars ships and turning them into Empire ships. You know what I mean? And so it's just grimy and gritty and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like really well acted game. I love the story. The game is better than Rise of Skywalker. I'll say that. And I liked Rise of Skywalker, but it's better than that movie. And it's got a great gameplay loop. It's like, it's kind of a blend of a lot of different games. It's like kind of Star Wars' first foray into the Dark Souls-esque battle system. So it's got that element of it. It's got elements of Metroid. Very much feels kind of like a modern Metroid Prime game where it's like you play as someone like a Jedi Padawan who escaped the Purge from Episode 3, like Order 66 or whatever. And so like you've been just kind of hiding out on the scrapyard planet for a while and you've forgotten a lot of your Force abilities. So like things will happen in the game that like trigger you to remember Force abilities, which is kind of like getting various suit upgrades or whatever in Metroid, right? And so then you can traverse areas of the map that you couldn't previously do. It's very Metroidvania in that way. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. And it's just really nice after like a drought of good Star Wars games. I feel like over the past 5 to 10 years to like have a really good solid game that like adds a lot to the overarching Star Wars canon. Yeah, between that and Mandalorian, it's nice to see some good stuff other than the movies coming out in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, Fallen Order is such a good game.
It's so good.
And I can't express enough, if you're listening right now, that you are, thank you, that the sound design for like the lightsaber and the attacks is so good.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels strong when you're playing Cal Kestis. And I replayed this game after I beat it because some of the battle mechanics were so satisfying to defeat a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Or mixing some of the battle mechanics is so like enjoyable and satisfying.
And you only really get good at the game like towards the end.
Exactly.
Like, as you like, I'm only finally figuring out like the best way to battle. Like even before you have the like even when you're just dodging, you know what I mean?
That's kind of what we were talking about in the replayability, where you're talking about platformers, where you do want to play a hard mode because you got good at it. You know what I mean? Is that sort of what you're saying, Matt?
Yeah, it's because I got good at it. It's like playing any of the Batman Arkham games.
Right.
They're like rhythm games. It feels like the song is combat, but you're responding to it in real time, and you get used to that rhythm.
Now, I will say I can't necessarily foresee replaying this game because there is a lot of backtracking in this game. And again, that's by design. You find new pathways and stuff like that. So it's not like, say, Skyward Sword or something that had really bad backtracking. But, like, I don't know that I would necessarily play it again, but it definitely makes me at least want to, like, unlock everything, you know, and find all the, like, hidden things that are in it. Also, quick shout out, the music in that game is incredible.
It's so good.
It's like... It sounds just like John Williams stuff, and it's like got themes that get stuck in my head. And every time I'm playing that game, I'm just like blown away by the music.
What's the little droid guy that's in it?
BD1.
Everyone says that's like their favorite new character from a game.
Yeah.
All year, and so that makes me want to play. Because I'm like, oh, well, maybe.
Yeah, it's great. It's very much like a boy and his dog sort of story. Yeah. It's great, and he's got a lot of character given that he like only has 2 legs and no face.
I'm excited for like new Star Wars fans that are playing this for their first Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And like I have good memories of playing Jedi Academy, Kyle Katarn, and like Shadows of the Empire with Dash Rendar. People are going to be like, oh, I love this game. And they're going to read books about Cal Kestis and like expanded universe books.
The one thing I think that doesn't look good in this game is his hair.
Oh, it does look weird.
That's my only gripe. I mean, there are some other things too. It's
unplayable now.
But I wish his hair looked. Wish he had Lara Croft hair. Anyway,
I guess I'll go from that. Yeah, I've been playing Fallen Order. Played through the whole thing. I think I got about like 98% of it. Mm-hmm. I will not 100% it because some of the unlockables are like colors for your spaceship or colors for BD1 or colors.
All the unlockables are cosmetic.
Yeah, they're all cosmetic stuff. Yeah. I won't replay it, but I will play it for the satisfying combat.
Yeah. It feels weird to be praising EA for not having microtransactions because it's just something they should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
But it is nice that there are no forced microtransactions.
And that they made a good single player game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, Fallen Order is such a good, like, I don't know. It's a game that I've played before. It feels like, because it's a Dark Souls game, as you were saying.
It's an amalgam.
It's a Metroidvania, and it's just like a very good game.
Yeah.
It's a
super
great
solid.
game.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. I'm sure they'll make a sequel after this, but
I'm excited for that.
Respawn's doing great.
Yeah. I think I put 17, 18 hours into it. It's great. Also been playing a lot of VR games. There's a VR mod for GTA 5.
Oh, really?
So I spent a couple hours modding GTA 5 to like drive around in VR, and it is fucking insane. And I could only play it for like 15 minutes. I got
I was gonna say, does that give you sickness? To try
yeah,
it?
totally. Yeah. So that was really fun, and finished Boneworks, which was also really good, with like a crazy story. And then some other shout outs to like some indie games for VRs. I played a game called Jet Island, which is a hoverboard / Spider-Man simulator.
That's fucking lit.
That sounds like that could make you sick too.
It's a really low poly game,
okay.
Open world. I forgot one crucial element. It is hoverboard, Spider-Man, Iron Man simulator.
Oh, okay.
So you have a hoverboard, and all you do is like scoot around with like Iron Man thrusts. And like
That's awesome.
shoot like hook shots at stuff, and you like swing around.
Yeah.
It's fucking sweet, and I can only play that game for like 15 minutes before I get nauseous. The sense of speed in that game in VR is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's like $10.
Oh, yeah.
And endless replayability. So it's really fun.
Very good. What about you, Amanda? What have you been playing recently?
I've been playing lots of Pokemon Shield because
yeah.
my little sister had a shopping list for her Pokemon Sword game of all the Pokemon she needed that I had to have ready for Christmas. She's like, I need this one, I need this one. So I finally got a Ditto so I could basically craft all those for her. Still haven't beaten the main storyline yet. So I think I finished the whole league, and now I've got to go to like the semifinals or whatever.
Gotcha.
And then not a game, but we watched all of The Witcher 3 on Netflix with my mom and my stepdad and my grandpa.
Yeah, oh,
Which
really?
was really fun.
Did they
Wholesome
enjoy
family.
it? Like the non-gamers in your family?
They fell asleep. But me and my sister really liked it. My boyfriend liked it. And my grandpa did say, this is not very believable. So if you're looking for that, he
will hate Lord of the Rings then.
He also said that about the Pokemon movie. So
you've watched all
Detective Pikachu.
8 episodes?
Yeah, we watched it in the course of like 2 nights.
I'm on episode 6. I like it a lot.
It's really good. There's like a big part of it that I wish I'd paid more attention to, like time frame wise.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was like,
I don't want to like
wait a
spoil
second.
the show, but
It's like 3 separate timelines.
they don't
right?
do
Yeah.
a good job of explaining.
No, they
that.
don't make like there's no
until like
passage
the
of
5th
time
episode.
with the way they
you're
look
like, wait,
at all.
what?
Like they
These
should have had a
weren't
different.
happening at the same time.
Yeah,
Speaking of the same time, you guys are definitely talking.
yeah, we're talking about the same thing, I think, but it's like
Listen in one ear for each of them.
there's no way to tell.
Yeah, until they make it clear around the 5th episode, when I was like, oh, those are 3 different times, because there were hints, but like not clear.
Right. Well, it's like basically, as I understand it, anytime you see like the deformed Yennefer that's in the past. Right?
Well, not even. It's like that's its own timeline, but like Gerald always looks the same age. I'm like, I get like he's probably going to live a long
they do
time,
have that
but
problem.
you need to have like a braid or like something so I could tell like, oh look, here's
Give
the
an Obi-Wan braid.
here's the little Rasta braid that I can tell us from the past, and then he cut it out or something. I don't know.
That's great.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've listened to that banger of a song.
Oh yeah, that song.
Oh, I haven't heard that yet.
It's like
It's like the intro song.
Nah,
I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's like nickel for Geralt. I don't fucking know what it
something
is.
about throwing coins to your Witcher. I think it's like the little bard guy, which is a really good comic relief in this show. So
Is Gwent in the show yet?
Not
Do they play
through
Gwent?
episode
The car-
5.
the
It has-
card game?
I don't know if it's in the later episodes.
no, and my sister's boyfriend kept reiterating that this is not based on the game. This is based on the book.
Right.
And no one had read the book. My sister was like, this wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
But he said, we talked about this. And she'd get mad and say, well, this wasn't the way it was.
So I actually have a question about that. So I was talking about potentially watching this with my girlfriend Sasha, but she was wondering if she should play the game first or the show. Like, is the show a prequel to the games?
No, I think it ends up being most of the preemptive stuff to what's going to happen in the 3rd game, because I
Okay.
didn't actually finish all of The Witcher 3. I started it and I was like, this is really fun, I think my boyfriend would enjoy playing it with me, so I stopped.
Right.
So that we could play it later.
Yeah. So, but you think it's good to go into the show? Like, you don't need to have played the game.
No, you don't need to know because it's all character setup in the beginning.
Cool.
And I think it's been renewed for 2 more seasons before it even premiered. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Mandalorian was good too. Let's just talk about TV for the rest of
Yeah, Mandalorian is
It's still
so
video
good.
games, right?
Yeah. Did we talk about cats?
We talked about cats before the show. I would
Yeah.
love. We should do a special episode on cats after everybody leaves.
Just cats and games.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think we should end the episode. This has
Okay,
been a-
fine. We'll talk about cats next episode.
It's been a really fun episode. Thank you so much, Amanda, for
Thanks for having me.
yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you for being
Thanks
on.
to Corduroy for doing the music. Thanks for you listening. Sorry to Chris that we did not play Disney Tsum Tsum Festival.
We almost had time to play Tsum Tsum Festival this week, but we ran out of time.
Yeah.
We'll get to it next week.
I think we'll get to it next week.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have any thoughts about replay value in a game, send us a message. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Send us a note, whatever. I think that's it for this week.
If you want to find us online, you can find me online at Monolith Fiji.
I am PDYX.
I'm at Matthew, Mathyu.
Where can people find you, Amanda?
Just on Facebook, posting garbage. It's Amanda Kate Bird.
That's right. Yeah, join. Yeah, if you haven't yet, if you are listening to this podcast and you haven't joined our Facebook group called Switch Headz, what are you waiting for? It's a blast. Amanda posts stuff almost every day, and it's all gold.
No pressure.
Yeah. And so join our Facebook group. We'll be doing some fun stuff.
Also, we're going to be at PAX South.
I was just gonna say that.
Oh, I can read your mind.
Yeah, we're gonna be at PAX South this year. So if anybody is gonna be in San Antonio for PAX, let us know. We'd love to meet up with you guys. We can do a little meet and greet, maybe.
We have a business card to give you.
Not yet. We gotta go to Kinko's.
We will.
But thank you, everybody. That just about does it for the show. Hopefully there's a direct soon that we can talk about next week. If not, we'll have a very good episode for you next week as well. Make sure you join our Facebook group and just follow our page on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. We love you guys so much. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.